gonna skip through the history because Eddie just did all that and I don't think anyone wants to hear about it all over again. Okay, I'm gonna start here. So this is the Bauer building that, okay, first, my internship was also with living classrooms, but I worked specifically in the workforce development kind of underlying section of the different programs that they have. And so I went to work in the Bauer building, the renovated building that Eddie was talking about. Basically, any day that I went into work, this is where I went. It was renovated, like Eddie said, by members of Project Serve and former members of the Fresh Start program, which are two of the workforce development programs that Living Classrooms has that are absolutely incredible. And I'll talk about them a little bit later. I also based my research questions off of these programs. There's a warehouse part of the building, there's a classroom part of the building, and then in that front area, kind of right here, is going to be an Atwaters. So they're going to employ some of the adjudicated youth that they take in from the Fresh Start program. They're going to employ them to work part-time at the Atwaters in the front of the building, which I think is pretty cool. So first I'm going to talk about Project Serve, which is where I spent most of my time working. Just a little bit of background on what it is. So SERVE stands for Service Empowerment, Revitalization, Validation, Employment Training, and it operates out of the Broadway Overlook Community Center. Now it's gonna start operating out of the newly renovated Bauer building. And members spend anywhere between 4 to 6 months in this program. They get training, resources, sustainable living wage employment, and all of these, the members of Project Serve are previously incarcerated men and women. And it's absolutely incredible getting to know these people and see how far they have come from the beginning to the end. And yeah, there are a lot of really great people, and they get 12 months post-program follow-up support. So what I did with Project Serve was a little bit different. So I'll show an example. I met with different program participants every week, and they basically came to me with what they had for a resume. And some of these people have been in jail for 10 years and they don't know how to use a Word document. And so they come to me with a list on a piece of paper, and we have to turn it into a usable resume and usable cover letter for the jobs that they're applying for. And it was very rewarding. So one of the things that I did was create an easy to use like resume template that they can continue to use throughout the program. And then I edited and created resumes from scratch for any participant that signed up for that part of the program. And then also right now I'm working on like kind of my final like cumulative project that I'm working on is presenting a lesson on different types of customer service skills in the industries that they're being trained to go into. So the different industries, we have a network at Under Armour, Amazon, and then a couple local construction and renovation companies for the Project Serve members to kind of streamline their work into. So this is an example of a resume that I was handed with no name on it, no email, just like it was almost like copy and pasted off the internet. None of the certifications were on there that she had. And then we turned it into these, which is, it's the same woman. And we made a cover letter for her that was specific to a job that she wanted to apply for. And this is part of my success. This was one of my favorite women to work with. And she actually got the job that she applied for with this cover letter, which wasn't directly through Living Classrooms, which is really cool. So she didn't apply to Under Armour, Amazon, or one of the construction companies. She applied to a different place that she wanted to go to, and she got the job anyway. So that was a very rewarding experience for me working directly with her on this. And then Fresh Start is kind of like Project Serve, but for adjudicated youth. So ages 16 to 19, young men. There were actually no young women in the program that I worked with that had dropped out of high school and were referred by the Department of Juvenile Services. A lot of them are on like juvenile probation, and they could only come to Fresh Start. That's like one of the only places they could go. The program uses carpentry only, so they don't do a lot of the workforce development stuff. They work in like a wood shop, and they teach these young men how to build chairs and charcuterie boards, and it's all available for sale. If you're interested, you can go check out Living Classroom's website because they do a really good job. And what I did with Fresh Start was I tutored all of these young men that I worked with were up for attaining their GED. It's a part of the program. And so a part of what I did was on Thursdays, I tutored for the GED attainment program, which was also really rewarding, like kind of working one-on-one and seeing specific progress for the students. And then I also helped them create their resumes from scratch to apply for, all of them were in construction. So to apply for different construction and remodeling companies in Baltimore, which was really cool. And then for them, I presented on the same workforce development skills that I'm going to present on for the Project Serve participants. But for them, it's more like attention to detail, customer service, supply chain management, stuff like that. So my research question that I'm really excited about was, are formerly incarcerated men and women less likely to return to incarceration when programs are put into place post-release to help them adjust to life outside of prison? That's kind of an obvious yes, I would say, but specifically looking at my experience working with Living Classroom, Eddie mentioned it earlier, but the average recidivism rate for the participants of the Project Serve program is 15%, which is incredible compared to Baltimore City's 52% of formerly incarcerated men and women will return to be incarcerated again. And then another really cool statistic that I kind of want to specifically talk about Project Serve in my research paper is that 128 Project Serve graduates secured long-term employment in the years 2020 and 2021. So not just working as a warehouse worker in Amazon, like actually having like contractual long-term employment, which is really rewarding. And I think that it'll be cool to not just work on the research with like a broad topic and kind of hone in directly on, in Baltimore, the recidivism rate and what programs and social programs like Project Serve can do for previously incarcerated men and women and returning citizens. Yeah, that's the same thing I just said. So I kind of took one of my weeks in March. I have to say that Living Classrooms did an incredible job of being flexible with my schedule. I had a really, as you guys know, I'm never in class. I have a really terrible schedule. And it was really hard for me to get all my hours in, but they were so flexible. So I would come in for like 45 minutes and they would count it just to like get me the time that I needed and the time that I like should. So like I came in on a Saturday one day to work with my supervisor, Julia, and she sat with me for 3 hours just to get my time in because it was the only day that week that I could come in. So they were really great. But usually my Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, they all look a little bit different, but I usually do the same types of things on each day. So Tuesdays, I do like administrative stuff, trying to help organize Project Serve and the materials and stuff they need for classes, filling out Excel sheets with like, they pack bags, Project Serve members pack bags for some of the other programs Living Classrooms had. And I helped with the supply chain management for that. Thursdays, I always was doing kind of updating resumes for a new group that week. So there's a lot of members of Project Serve, and every week I'd get like a new smaller group and I'd meet one-on-one with them and the fresh start participants. And then also I worked with the event planner at Living Classrooms. Her name is Amanda, and she helped kind of push out the Living Classrooms branded materials to give to our partners. So I also worked with her a little bit on that on Thursdays. And then Fridays, I help the Fresh Start program classes are on Tuesday mornings. And on Fridays, I work with specifically the Fresh Start supervisor, her name's Erica, on what the presentation is going to look like for the Tuesday morning class. I'm going to skip through these because I'm just going to talk about them. So in the self-growth part of my internship, I really went in having no idea what I wanted to do. I used to be a finance minor and I wanted to go into nonprofit going into this internship. And going into this internship, I decided that I don't actually want to go directly into nonprofit. I want to go into like kind of working on the number side of things, kind of like how Grace was talking about, how there's people who can go in and work directly and make these individual differences, but I want to work outside of that and kind of go into what can I produce on a broader scale for a nonprofit organization, possibly like working pro bono and doing like financial planning or something like that for an organization. And so in self-growth, I kind of realized that what was a more realistic career path for me, and it helped me get my job. So I networked a lot. Me and Maeve had the opportunity to go to the most incredible event with Living Classrooms. It was the 5-year anniversary of the opening of the Pendry, and we got the opportunity to go and network, and I met the most incredible man, his name's Tom Geddes. He's a financial planner for Kevin Plank and for Barack Obama. And I've met with him a couple times, and he does pro bono work for living classrooms. And he's talked about the amount that he's seen his work directly impact multiple nonprofits in the like Washington, DC, Baltimore area, and just being able to make that scale of an impact in a nonprofit industry doing something that I have an excitement for will be really cool. Intellectual growth, something that I learned from living classrooms is that they don't like to use the word serve. And that was like day one, my supervisor had said that to me. Because you're providing opportunities that aren't already there. You aren't better than the people that you are giving these opportunities to. You have an opportunity to help them like reach their full potential. You're not serving them, you're not doing it for them, which is like a mindset that I didn't think about having before. And then another huge intellectual growth moment for me was I had the opportunity to sit in on an NPR interview. NPR interviewed the Safe Streets Baltimore program and did an entire piece on it. And the director of the Safe Streets location that was run by Living Classrooms, his name's Dante, he had said that from like a sociological standpoint, these big donors come to Living Classrooms and they're like, I have $1 million that I want to give you. And I want you to do this for this program. And these programs are like, but we don't want that. So like in the case of Safe Streets, there was like a $50,000 donor who wanted to put in like in Bel Air Edison, they wanted to put in a STEM lab in like the Safe Streets building. And the Safe Streets guy was like talk to his, like the community. And they were like, no one is going to use that. No one will use, like these big donors have these grand ideas for what they want their money to go to. But if it's not what the community says that they need, then that's not what they need and that's not what we need to give them. So I think Living Classrooms has kind of a unique outlook on that. So they've actually put in a recording studio and like a clothing printing press because people actually use it. Like the men and women in that area go in there and they try and make their own music and they make their own clothes. And like that's something that actually gives use to the community versus just what would be good for the image of the donor, which I thought was really cool. And I like that outlook that Living Classrooms has. My successes as an intern, like I said before, I was like able to network a lot. It helped me get a job for after college, which I'm really proud of myself for doing. Like as a sociology major, I got a job working in financial planning and at RBC in Hunt Valley, and I would not have been able to do that without my job, like my internship at Living Classrooms. The people that I met, the way that they helped prepare me for my interviews, I felt a lot of personal growth. I felt like I gained a lot of confidence in my like workplace ability. And yeah, that was definitely my biggest success. Yeah, I think that's my last slide. Yeah.
Thank you.